3, 2, 1.
Le Presidente de Nixon. But
well, if you're trying to be French right there, then it would be historically accurate because the French sent a warship over to get their gold back. The French trying to get their gold back was one of the main reasons that caused us to close the window. So
What? The French sent a warship?
Yep, to custody the gold. That was how you had to do self-custody back then.
Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center, and we mean that, to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So, if you are brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart.
And I'm your co-host, Anna Bevan. And in the actual studio with us today is 143 Sean.
As all of our recent English guests, like Bitcoin Mechanic and Stagsy would say, in the proper studio. We have a proper guest.
We have a
in the
proper
studio.
guest.
143 Sean. And we got you in here off the strength of the BTC Plus conference in Durham this month. You guys might also remember Evan from a couple of days back was also on that thing. So, Sean.
And Scott.
Your
man Scott.
A lot of good local people here.
And he signed my bid axe, by the way, which was freaking awesome, dude. My little laundry room bid axe, it looks freaking awesome.
It's going to find a block now.
It is going to find a block now. Thank you. As soon as he signed, I was like, this sucker's finding a block.
It's going to happen.
And I'm solo mining, homie. So that 3.125 plus transaction fees is going to belong to moi.
Congrats.
And Scott told me not to announce that here on the show because why would you KYC some Bitcoin if it's already non-KYC? So, guys, y'all will never know, but it is going to happen. Anyways, Sean.
There will be signs.
There will be signs.
Yeah, there will be. Introduce yourself to our Satillionaires in the audience. Let them know who you are, and then we're going to jump right into your story.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Sean. I'm currently a product manager at Anchorage Digital. Not long time Bitcoiner, but very, very interested in the space and really excited to get into the sort of origin story, kind of things that helped me understand it when I was first getting into it. All these opinions are my own and not my employer. So happy to jump in.
Look at that.
I love that he disclaimed himself.
The disclaimer. The good news is we'll disclaim you again.
Correct.
The show,
It'll be sandwiched, actually.
You've been disclaimed in, you'll be disclaimed out. So don't nobody at us, okay?
Gotta do it.
All right?
Right.
Now, you said, interestingly enough, that you haven't been a Bitcoiner for a long time. Before we started taping, you displayed a level of interest in Bitcoin that is not an everyday level of interest. So you can't have gotten started yesterday. I mean, when did you first, let's take you back to the moment where you first heard about Bitcoin. What year was that? Where were you? Who told you?
I think I had heard it, sort of just people talk about Bitcoin a long time ago, maybe like when I was in high school, but I had never seriously thought about it. When it really became real to me was in college. I took an elective course. I had a computer science professor who was very interested in the space. So he did like a blockchain algorithms and systems class. It was really just kind of a school class that I found very interesting. This was in late 2020, early 2021. And me and a group of friends pretty much just started playing around with crypto. I know it's a starting place for everyone, the dreaded term, but it was really in school just playing around and learning about it from that angle. In school, I did computer science and economics, so I also was kind of always very interested in econ, studied Keynesian economics a little bit. So it was really the combination of those two topics that kind of made me bound to get into Bitcoin.
So that's really interesting too, because some people say that Bitcoin is everything you don't understand about computers, plus everything you don't understand about economics.
and everything you don't understand about energy. You can add that to it.
Oh, that's a great addition because we've had a lot of guests talking about energy recently.
Yeah. So I don't think it's very often that a computer science major is also an economics major. And I don't think it's very often that an economics major is also a computer science major. You almost chose.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Now, you clearly are a young man if you were at university in 2020 or 2021. You learned about it there at university and then got interested with your buds. Were all of you interested in venturing into the crypto casino for quick gains and various gambling-esque degeneracy?
I would say there was definitely a little bit of that. It wasn't so much just degeneracy. It was more just tinkering around, learning how it worked. I mean, at the time, none of us had real money we were throwing around. It was more just kind of a plaything, like a toy. Like, hey, we're going to download some browser extension wallets. We're going to see how this stuff works. Just kind of hands-on. So I think the hands-on learning part was very useful, and a good way to learn. I would say there was the degeneracy and gambling stuff was kind of just a byproduct of how things were at the time. But that never attracted me personally.
Sometimes it feels like when you go into like a Coinbase, for example, or a Kraken, and there's all of these options for you, and some of them are going way up, some are going way down. Like, yes, there's definitely like a lot of activity that might interest a trader. Or someone who likes a ton of information to get updated all the time. But I also feel like it almost presents the same kind of escape that like fantasy sports presents, where some people spend every spare moment of the day checking their fantasy football team and exploring the minutia of each player's performance, and it's a distraction from the item that they're not wanting to focus on, which is I got to work hard today in order to do well. I want to pay attention to this never-ending stream of information that's interesting to me instead of engaging over here. Do you feel like that crypto casino moment, did it present any of that to you, or was it truly only about exploring technology and computer science?
Well, it started off as just exploring technology and computer science, but the thing that really sort of turned me and made me aware of it was studying history and reading history books. So I'd say what you're talking about would be late stage over financialization of everything. I see a lot of people my age get really addicted to sports betting, all forms of gambling, fantasy sports. Fantasy sports isn't that bad, but I'd say
if there's a bunch of money attached to it, though, isn't it?
If it's a lot of money, yeah. But I would say that it's all of those things are kind of a symptom of what happens when money gets messed with heavily. So I would say that I didn't go into it thinking that, but basically right after I finished school, I just started reading a lot, reading history books. I think When Money Dies is probably a really good one for anyone really interested in a good introductory topic to why Bitcoin. The why Bitcoin, honestly, personally, 80% of the beginning of it was just understanding the problem. When fiat money, every fiat currency in history has collapsed for the same reasons. People like to think that this time might be different, but I think it's really important to have a perspective going back further than anyone who's been alive right now, because it started in the early 70s, and anyone alive right now in finance, anyone that's maybe just a family member that tells you advice or how markets work, they're not coming from a place of experiencing those conditions that happened 100 years ago. So
oh wow,
is that sparking something for you?
Well, so hearing you talk about this, do your friends also think the same way?
When I won't shut up to them about it, they start to.
I think all of us have been that person.
I had to start a podcast just to find a healthy outlet for how much I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah. I told my best friend last night that she needs to buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah,
people are starting to understand. I think what happened in the response to the lockdown and the money printing that happened.
Okay.
that really accelerated people's understanding. That was kind of a wake up moment that I really saw people start to be more open to it and more curious when that happened.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was say, why do you think that was so pivotal? Because I think, so I have a background in politics and has worked in the political space for 12 years. And I would say that the lockdown was also a pivotal moment for politics. I would say it's because people really didn't have anything else to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were paying attention to what was happening.
Yeah.
For some generations, specifically the millennial generation, for almost really the first time. And so I'm wondering if that is a similar reasoning or if you have a different reason for why people started paying attention.
I mean, I think it really changed a lot of aspects of life, but the one that really stuck out to me was just this kind of this newfound awareness with a lot of people that that money printing happens. I mean, a lot of people at the time, I think, were probably just at home looking at their Robinhood app, watching stocks fly up and down. It really kind of, I think, gave financial markets like kind of it was like a mask off moment where people are realizing that they're not really real and things aren't making sense. The things I'm seeing on my screen, why is this meme coin, this stock going up, hundreds of percent and then crashing, all while they were locked down and there was no real things happening. But I think it's always just the money printing is a great first thing to try to educate yourself on. And
okay. I'm not certain if my mother-in-law knows what you're talking about. And since this show is for my mother-in-law and for everyone who's living their life right now, working hard for money that's getting worse, and then saying, oh, this must be corporations who are just getting greedier and greedier. And like, they just fully don't get that it's the money printer and that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. Shout out whoever that was, Hayek, Mises, can't remember.
Wow, you're really not doing great with the old dead guys.
I'm striking out hard today.
Really bad.
Let's take it all the way back to what exactly happened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
In terms of that money printing, what that means, what it did, like, let's help people get up to speed on that element.
For sure. So I think kind of a good way to approach this would be that when things started getting locked down, when businesses were shuttered, and everyone stayed at home, I think it's pretty clear to see that would like reduce economic activity. Your favorite store that you might get coffee at was closed. Lots of businesses were just closed, and there was a lot of disruption. So, as policymakers, there's probably going to be a response to that. People when they don't have a job, they're typically looking for someone to fix it. And at the time, the response was really we have to help people, we have to help businesses. There was a feeling that there were going to be temporary lockdowns. And so if people were just given money, then that would probably be a net benefit to keep businesses open and reduce the damage. That would at least be the stated reason for doing that. So I think it's important to realize that when that happens, that money has to come from somewhere. They're not getting it by taxing people. They're not getting it through other means. It's just net new creation.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're telling our audience is that the economy largely stopped, but we all need to keep going. So the government just started printing the difference between us stopping and us needing to keep going. And my understanding is that throughout the pandemic, the United States pretty much printed 40% of its own money supply back over again. So it's almost like 100% of our value got to the pandemic and we went up to 140%
Mhm.
without really having any productivity or economic gains to represent that money that we printed.
Yeah.
So since it's not there, it has to get divided back out through the value that we have produced, which ultimately means you're taking my Dr. Pepper and you're dropping 40% water again on top of it and having me drink it and still saying it's soda. It ain't. It's watered down. So that my dollar isn't as good as it used to be since you're printing that money.
Do you want to dig more into that? Would it be worth getting into exactly how money is printed and what different types of money are printed? Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around that. But
I mean, what different types of money are printed already is something I don't understand.
Go.
Let's freaking have it,
Yes.
dude.
yeah, for sure. So that 40% of money creation stat is tossed around a lot. I'm pretty sure that's the M2 money supply. But when money is printed, it's not the money that you and I spend at the grocery store usually. The pandemic was kind of a unique case because when those $2,000 stimmy checks were flying around, helicopter money being dropped on people's heads and getting put right into Robinhood, Coinbase, and like FanDuel's, that was money printing of the sort of money that we spend. Those are ultimately bank deposits in whatever bank we use. If you use Bank of America, Capital One, that $2,000 goes right in there, and you can spend it on food and whatever else you buy on your day-to-day life.
Okay. So that's the kind of, when we think of money printing, that's the kind of money that we're thinking of money printing.
Yes, that is most people's everyday interaction with money is that they have a credit card, they have a debit card, and it pays out balances from the bank that they use. And those are bank deposits, and that's money, I think, for all intents and purposes. For most people, that's it.
And by the way, Scott, at the end of his episode, told me there's a website that is dedicated exclusively to telling you how much money you would have today if you had smashed your stimmy check directly into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The entire website just says, hey, if when the government handed you free money, you smashed it into Bitcoin, it'd be worth this much now.
Well, rumor on the street is we're about to get another one.
Oh, well, this time I'm smashing it into Bitcoin, okay? Because I didn't buy any Bitcoin with my stimulus check. I don't even remember what we spent it on.
Oh, I bought wine. I invested. No, not to consume. I invested in wine.
Bro.
At least you invested it in something. That's good.
It. All right.
It's a good investment.
I did. I bought like really expensive bottles of wine that live in the UK right now, and it's a whole thing.
So the wine's not even in your custody.
Not self-custody.
No, it's not.
Bro!
It is not self-custody.
Oh,
Somebody
man.
could pop that cork and drink that wine.
It
and
is
you wouldn't be able to stop
basically
them.
hanging out on an exchange.
Whoa.
Wow.
So you're saying that when we think of money printing, we think of actual dollars in our accounts. The stimulus checks were that, but that wasn't the only kind of money that was printed at that time?
Yeah, so this gets into a little bit of a wonkish subject, so stop me if it gets too into it, but
I will.
when the type of money printing that has happened for a very long time is in the form of bank reserves. So bank reserves are basically interbank tokens that about 20 large banks, the globally systemically important banks, use to settle between each other. This is the Federal Reserve System. Bank reserves they never leave that system. So when money printing happens with bank reserves, when the Fed prints new bank reserves, it cannot escape those 20 large banks, and it cannot be spent into the real economy. But what it can do is be used to purchase financial assets. So those banks, they can purchase government bonds. In some cases, they can purchase corporate bonds and stocks. But there's kind of a higher level, like a separate echelon of money that is used. And bank reserves are different from bank deposits. So I think that's something that is maybe a little too much detail, but it's really core to what has been going wrong, I would say, with our money.
So hang on. you and I and Anna Bevan and Zara buy things with dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And those are bank deposits.
Yes.
Okay. You could technically withdraw those deposits into these sheets of paper, and I could go to my mother-in-law's espresso bar and cafe in Winchester, Virginia, and hand that $50 bill over for one of her espressos. So I can basically withdraw that as cash and get it into the economy, or I can use my credit card and debit card to kind of just numbers it, right? Now, what you're telling me is that there's another form of money, which are bank deposits. And these bank deposits...
Bank reserves.
I'm sorry,
Bank
reserves.
Bank reserves are the other form.
Right. So the bank reserves, that's where 20 globally, systemically important banks, which I am assuming are members of the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
It's a token. You're telling me that it's a token, the same way that a cryptocurrency, Ripple's like, check it out. Here's an XRP token. So the Federal Reserve is able to issue itself a token that it can use to buy real world stuff with.
Yep.
So it would basically be like us declaring that we have a form of currency that is valuable and then being able to go out and buy stuff with it.
Pretty much. And the thing that they do the most with it when they print fresh bank reserves is they buy government bonds. So if you want to talk about the U.S.'s standing and why the U.S. dollar is so globally accepted and why it seems invincible at times, it's important to realize that a lot of that demand is not organically happening from people who just want to save money. It's being bought by these printed bank reserves. And if anyone wants to look more into this, I would highly recommend Jeff Snyder. He's not a Bitcoiner yet, but he follows this stuff really closely. So that's a good resource for people who are, if anyone is interested in these the minutia of that topic.
What are some of the banks? Do we know them?
That are part of that Federal Reserve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be like J.P. Morgan, Citi, Bank of America, and there's a couple more. And yes, it's basically the ones that everyone would have heard of. They're the sort of the main members of the Federal Reserve System
That we bailed out once before.
Yep. And I think a good way to sort of connect this to Bitcoin, a lot of this discussion about two different types of money, a lot of complicated banking stuff. The real thing to learn from that is that depending on your level of access and who you are in this financial system, you have different rules applied to you. So all that stuff we just talked about with bank reserves that none of us will ever touch or spend is, it's kind of unfair that there's different rules. And Bitcoin is the first form of money where it could be used at that very, very high level as a reserve asset, or we could use it to buy coffee, and it's the same rules for everyone. So I think that's kind of an important way to tie those things together, is that you want a monetary system where everyone plays by the same rules.
Yes.
Because right now we do not have that.
Yes.
Man,
and by the way, if the economy were to halt thanks to the pandemic in a Bitcoin world, 40% more Bitcoin would not magically appear.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't
Because
print
you
it.
can only make Bitcoin by doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Dang. I feel like the dollars are now just like poor people money.
It is.
Like bank deposits are like
Oh, yeah.
sad poor people money.
You're like, oh, did you purchase your Christmas gifts this year with your bank deposits? I actually stuffed my stocking with my bank reserves. I mean,
Definitely Hunger Games vibes.
it does feel
Mm-hmm.
distinctly unfair. And what is outraging me right now is I have dunked on China a number of times on this show by pointing out that they have a form of money for inside China, and they have a form of money for trading with other countries.
The renminbi and the yuan, right?
Yes. And I've said out loud a number of times on this show, by the way, I love China. They have an incredible stone lifting history where they have these fat blocks that you hold and you're supposed to throw them up with one hand and catch them again or get them up to your shoulder or something. So we love Zhonghua over here, okay? But I used to laugh at the fact that if you think the U.S. is upside down, China has two forms of money. And what you're telling me is that we have two forms of money, dude. The United States, we're upside down. Just as much as they are. We have two forms of money? That's insane. Yeah. That's not cool. It doesn't make any sense. Who, in fact, gives, and the collection of banks that are all together and referred to as the Federal Reserve, who gives them the power to print more of their own token that only they get to use to buy real-world stuff with?
The decisions are made by the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. So I think something that not a lot of people know is that the Federal Reserve System has 13 member branches. There's one in Philadelphia, one in St. Louis. There's probably one somewhat nearby you, wherever you are in the United States. But each actual member bank of the Federal Reserve is owned by local commercial banks. So when people talk about a public-private partnership, it's really owned by private banks, and they get to vote on the policy.
So the government of the United States does not give these member banks the power to create a token out of thin air that allows them to buy stuff that we all have to work hard for. The members of the Federal Reserve just get to tell themselves when they get to have more money for free?
Pretty much. There's a voting committee that votes themselves more money.
What in the world?
Why?
Pretty sweet gig.
Yeah. Are they doing it just so that they don't care about like the purchasing power?
They're doing it to fix the economy, and it's because they know better. It's
which my son, by the way, who doesn't understand when people are being satirical, he's kidding, Lion.
There was a slight smirk.
They know better. Don't worry about it.
I mean,
these are not the droids you're looking for.
Do you feel like, because I watched a documentary on the Federal Reserve maybe last year, and I can't remember the name of it, but it had Ben Bernanke on the cover. So the documentary basically went into detail on how the Federal Reserve was created in 1913 and then basically started tinkering with the economy in a way that harmed the economy. So then they tinkered with it more to try to recover from the harm they had caused, which made it worse. So then they tried to tinker with that to get that better, and that made it worse. And basically, they created a system that is impossible to tune correctly. So they're always swinging one way or the other, printing too much or not printing enough or whatever. I mean, do you feel like, because I know you talked about the late 70s, right? For my mother-in-law, that's when Richard Nixon took the
1971 is when he rugged the world and closed the gold window.
He rugged the entire world. Le Presidente de Nixon. Rugged the entire world and said, all the gold that you've stored with us, if you're abroad, you can't get it back. But
if you're trying to be French right there, then it would be historically accurate because the French sent a warship over to get their gold back. The French trying to get their gold back was one of the main reasons that caused us to close the window. So
what? The French sent a warship?
Yep, to custody the gold. That was how you had to do self-custody back then. So if you think self-custody in Bitcoin is hard, just imagine having to send a warship to hold your gold.
Dude.
Oh man, that is so funny.
Title of this episode, I put my Bitcoin in a warship. You know what I mean? I custody my Bitcoin on a warship. So that's wild, by the way. I need to learn more about that. But kind of, it seems like we can back it up even further to 1913 and say everything from 1913 onward has been a clown show. Correct?
Pretty much, yeah. I think that was when it started. But it for sure accelerated in 1971, because even in 1913 and the years after that, we were on a quasi hard money standard. But I think one of the most sort of easily recognizable symptoms of the Federal Reserve being started in 1913 would be both world wars. So when I was very first getting into Bitcoin, reading the Bitcoin Standard like everyone, I think one of the most compelling things for me was this realization that before the Federal Reserve was created, there was no concept of forever, like total war that would go on forever and ever, because it was financed by printed dollars by governments. If you go back to the 1800s and for most of history, what would have to happen was that a king would basically tax their citizens to wage war. And whenever the citizens just didn't really feel like it was worth it anymore, it wasn't in their interest, they could just stop paying those taxes and there was no more way to fund it. Mm-hmm. That was why war was so limited. If anyone sort of looks at kind of Napoleonic style wars, how those were fought, they were much more limited. It was kind of formal. People would just go out to a field, they'd fight, and then, after a couple months, it'd just be over. There wasn't this state of permanent total war. So I think that's something to realize that the Federal Reserve directly enabled.
Holy
that's kind of a whole separate rabbit hole. So
yeah, but nicely weaves together.
And I think it's I heard it from Nico on Simply Bitcoin, but I'm sure someone else said it first. That it's no coincidence that the century of fiat money was also the bloodiest century on record.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a bonkers chat about sats right here.
Bonkers.
And there is a whole lot more to this rabbit hole, and I can sense it, and I want to go down it. Mm-hmm. And we might do that in the membership area once we get that up and running. But what I'm curious about right now is, let's imagine I'm in the audience right now, and I'm listening to your episode, Sean, and I'm saying, whoa, there's a second form of more privileged American money that I will never have access to, that can be issued unto itself whenever said body cares to buy the stuff that we have to work for. Like, that's unfair. I want a system where everyone follows the same rules. Everything is fair. If I work hard, I get Bitcoin. If you work hard, you get Bitcoin. If you don't work hard, you don't get Bitcoin. And they're saying to themselves, this is wild. I want to learn more about it, but right now I want to get some dang Bitcoin. What is your advice to that satillionaire who has yet to stack their first sats? How should they do it? What's the strategy? Like, how can they go from hearing about this crazy bank reserves money to protecting themselves from a busted system?
I think the good first step that I always recommend to people is to dollar cost average small amounts every week or potentially every day. So I think someone who's just getting into it, funny enough, one of the things that will actually make you pay attention and learn more is just having some of it. So I'd say don't try to time the market. Don't try to time buys and sells. I would say just open up an account. There's a lot of providers. Open up an account and maybe put $5 or $10 a week in, and just sort of let that go for a couple of weeks. You're going to naturally start to pay attention more to it, and only do that with an amount that you can afford to hold for 4 or more years. So that's always my non-financial advice, but beginner advice. That's a great first step, and after that, people typically tend to just pay attention more.
Which exchanges do you recommend or have used and like that would be easy for beginners to jump onto?
Personally, I use River. They have zero cost, zero fees on recurring orders, so I think that's a nice feature. There's plenty of exchanges though, some of which you have up here, but
Yeah, and
there's
we
a
got
lot
the
of providers.
River right here. Okay.
Yeah,
Call
so.
show at satchats.com. We talked to them at the Bitcoin conference earlier in the year. They're like, "You have 3 people following you. What are you talking? We'll see you later." I'm like, "No, we're gonna be the world's biggest Bitcoin website. I promise you."
Mm-hmm.
So holler at us. Okay. Let me ask you this as well. I know that you are going to be speaking at the BTC conference with Evan, with Simple Steve, with Scott. You've seen them all here on this show, okay? Because we are both for beginners and we're super legit. The signal. We have the signal here, as they say. Give us a high level overview of the technical thing that is most interesting to you that you're going to be talking about at the conference so that our beginners can kind of not get blasted by technical, but maybe be like, whoa, I didn't know that was a future possibility. That's really cool. Kind of like a Tomorrowland moment.
Yeah, for sure. So the high level term for what I'm going to be talking about is covenants. It's a type of soft fork to Bitcoin. What that means is basically an upgrade, a technical upgrade that doesn't exist yet. So it's a potential future upgrade. There's always lots of very technical discussion about which way to implement it, which features. But I think at a very high level, the reason why having a covenant upgrade could be useful for someone is because it would allow you to have a type of wallet that can recover from a private key loss. So depending on where you are in your Bitcoin journey, if you've ever self-custodied, you've written down 12 or 24 words, you have to make sure that does not ever get on the internet and that you don't lose it. You have to be very responsible and careful about it, because if someone gets your keys, they can just take your money. So that is how Bitcoin has always worked. That's how it works right now. But there are kind of a debated class of potential upgrades that could allow for the ability to have a type of wallet where it can only spend to one wallet instantly, and sending to any other wallet, calling the non-whitelisted wallet, would take 2 weeks or whatever time you might want to set. So it's a wide design space that would basically allow secure self-custody to be easier.
So, Anna Bevan, let's have you replay what you heard.
Oh, I have no idea. Something about keys that are lost and they can be found.
Anything at all that you got from that? Keys that are lost.
Keys that are lost. You can recover your Bitcoin with hopes and dreams.
Fancy.
I got nothing,
I'd say
man.
the way to boil it down would be fancy future wallets that don't exist yet.
Fancy future wallets
that can recover from private key loss. So you're not screwed if you lose the private keys.
Yeah, what I picked up was if something goes wrong, it can go almost quickly and safely to a vault of your own choosing.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone tries to get in there, it's almost like when you go through a fast food and it's like safe is on a time delay. Don't try to rob the safe in the fast food joint, because it won't. As soon as you open it, it still takes 20 minutes to open, and the cost will have arrived by then.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody tries to get in there and take your Bitcoin, the only place it can be sent immediately is to your own secure vault, safe room, panic room thing. And if they wanted to send it to somewhere else, it would say, sure, but it's going to take 2 weeks. And it gives you 2 weeks to get in there and send it to your secure vault instead. So it's kind of like if somebody tries to get your Bitcoin, it drops through a hatch to somewhere safe automatically.
Exactly.
Fancy future wallets.
Fancy future wallets.
All right. So, Sean, there's more to Bitcoin and the Federal Reserve and fancy future wallets than we will ever be able to fit into a single chat about sats. So we do ask each of our guests if they would be willing to come back on in 9 months to give us an update on their Bitcoin baby. Would you be willing to do that for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to give it, first of all, thank you. I'm really bad at acknowledging
Yeah.
stuff. If I like it, I ignore it.
Thank you so much for being willing to come back.
Sometimes
I
I
appreciate it,
wonder,
yeah.
I'm going to go to Chappie later on today, ChatGPT. I'm going to say, Chappie, am I robotic? Do you know what I mean? I bet an artificial intelligence would be able to tell me truthfully whether or not I'm robotic. Do you know what I mean?
think
Or
it
am
would
I so
probably be-
robotic?
I don't know. They
going
tend
to
to
an
always
AI.
they tend to always agree with you. So they
Dude,
might
no.
just
They've
say
turned into yes men and women these days.
I think Chappie would say, that's a really self-aware question to ask, Stuart.
Yeah, it's they really bless you up, man. They figured out that just agreeing with you is the best way to keep rolling. It's not cool. Disagree with me, Chappie. Okay. Before we give it up to Ithaca Hummus here, are there any other forms of American money that are out there that we don't know about, or is it just the
The
bank
two.
reserves?
well, I mean, gold. Gold is one that everyone talks about in comparison to Bitcoin. If you're some of you listening might have a grandparent who has gold buried in their backyard. That's a good form of money, but I would say
But there's not a second shady form of token that is issued only to an elite group of banks. Like, because I know that there's like M0, M1, M2, M3. I know there's like different classes of tracking the overall money supply.
Mhm.
I've never heard about the fact that there are two forms of money in America.
I would say there is another that is global. It's not just America. It would be called the euro dollar. So if everything that we talked about with bank reserves and bank deposits sounded confusing, there's a way more complicated version that's happening all across the world, where basically foreign countries and foreign banks can have dollar denominated liabilities without having bank reserves, or in some cases without even having U.S. bonds as backing it. So there's lots of forms of money printing. If you look, there's going to be someone trying to print money.
The euro dollar? What
What?
in the world, dude?
It's like the ghost of a currency.
The euro dollar? What is... All right. So that's why I love Bitcoin, because it is a simple, straightforward money that works anywhere around the world, around the clock, and you just send it from me to you.
That's a great way to summarize it. I would say when people think Bitcoin is complicated, our existing financial system is way more complicated. So that's a good takeaway, I think.
Just nuts. Like, crazy.
Yeah, my brain is spinning. So let's turn it over to our lead sponsor here, Ithaca Hummus.
Yes. Today in the studio, we're all going to taste together
Awesome.
the original flavor.
Don't be afraid to get you a bigger woven
I
wheat
will.
there.
I will.
Oh, that's a my size cracker.
It is.
Wait, no.
Oh,
Typically,
sorry.
we crunch it all at one
Oh,
time.
my bad.
That's okay. Here, get another little
'Cause as
woven wheat.
Bitcoiners, we do like that equality, don't we? You know,
you
you're
go.
over here crunching on the hummus like it's a bank reserve. Okay? Getting out ahead of us.
Mhm.
That's okay. That's okay. We are tasting the classic hummus. Okay, gotta get it.
Yeah.
A
There
dip.
you go.
Yeah.
Classic hummus.
Classic hummus. Ithaca reminds us to
Buy the dip.
Okay, we're
All right,
gonna
here we go.
in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We haven't had classic in a while.
I totally forget how much I love this one. The fresh lemon, like feel a little winky from the lemon.
It's like the vanilla ice cream of hummus.
It is. You every time you have it, you're like, oh man, this
Good
one.
stuff.
What did you think about that?
I think it's good.
Is that the first time you've had Ithaca hummus?
Yeah, I think so. I like the lemon sort of lemon taste it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Do you normally buy hummus, or are you?
I would say I don't normally, but I do like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to stick to pretty simple stuff for what I eat, but it's good. Maybe I'll consider it.
Add
and
the
that's
classic
simple.
hummus.
That's simple too, because it's chickpeas, tahini, water, sunflower oil, lemon juice, vinegar, salt, garlic, citric acid, cumin, and red pepper.
No seed oils.
Well, yes, because the sunflower
Well,
oil.
sunflower, I guess there's a sunflower is one that is kind of debated as maybe not as bad as the others, but
Yeah, and maybe expeller pressed is better than the other way to get sunflower oil. What do you do?
it's good. It's
Do you
good.
heat it up and smush it? Is the other option?
It's real food though.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah,
It is. It
yeah.
is.
You can pronounce everything on that.
It's good stuff.
And for the people who are like hard up on the seed oil, the collaboration with Graza replaces the sunflower oil with olive oil, and then you're fully out of the seed oil space.
Right.
Quite frankly, well, we'll just keep it there.
Great.
So this
Perfect.
tub of hummus belongs to you. Okay.
Thank you.
That's our gift. This is a gift from number 83 Aladdin. It's
Ooh.
BTC trading cards. It breaks things down into bite-sized pieces that are collectible. So you can learn all about Bitcoin, kind of like one collectible flash card at a time.
Mm-hmm.
This is their Genesis pack. There's an unlimited quantity of them, okay? And this is his introduction to the
Very
trading
cool.
card community. But once a year, he comes out with a limited run of new products. And each year, out of like the 21,000 boxes of packs that he produces,
Mm-hmm.
there's one card, and there's only one of them. And he never reprints anything.
Wow.
So that's the only version of that card that will ever exist. It's
cool.
a lot of fun because he kind of helps teach you about how cool it is for things to be truly scarce.
Mm-hmm.
We also have one more gift to make
Oh wow.
I know. Who knew
because
you
good
were gonna
things
have...
come in threes.
They
Mhm.
do.
Yes, the hummus, the pack of cards.
Yes,
And
and
now
then
this.
our offer. So at Sat Chats, we believe in value for value.
Mm-hmm.
And so in exchange for your time and coming on our show, we'd like to give you the offer or a choice between $50 in fiat and $50 in Bitcoin, which at today's exchange rate is 48,500 Satoshis.
Easy choice. The Sats.
Easy choice.
Excellent.
Okay, easy
So
choice.
you get to join the Perleroid wall
Nice.
behind you, sponsored by the Pearl Collective.
Mm.
Yes.
Inspired by things that last.
Yeah, I can
That
use them
is
to
right.
send out some zaps on Noster.
Exactly. We'll load this up into your Lightning wallet, and you can zap us on Noster, by the way. Circular
Please
economy.
do.
There you go.
Circular economy.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for choosing the Satoshis here. You bring our show's scoreboard to 146 who have stacked the sats, along with 9 who have chosen the cash, okay? Some of which is disputable, mainly number 31, Victor's choice, okay?
For the people who choose the cash, do you take it out of the encasing and give them the $50?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We try not to touch it in the delivery because you never know where they've been.
The challenge is that Victor wanted it signed.
Yeah, the reason why Victor chose the cash is because it was in a frame, and he wanted us to sign the frame
I see.
and send him the whole thing. We're like, bro.
You really hurt our numbers there.
What you should do is get a Zimbabwean $10 billion note and then offer that to people.
Yeah. That would really underscore just how worthless paper money is, okay? Is there anywhere that you want to send our Satillionaires to engage with you online or Anchorage or what have you?
Yeah, I would say I'm on Noster. I'm Sean at trianglebitdevs.com. And yeah, I work at Anchorage. If anyone has, institutional Bitcoin custody needs, feel free to check us out or talk to me. I'd be happy to go over it more.
All right, Sean at trianglebitdevs.com.
You're doing it right now.
I am trying to see if I can just search for you.
Okay.
Search results.
Let's see.
Wow.
Am I on
I
there?
use Primal.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, search notes. Okay, maybe I'm searching the wrong area. All right, I got to find that, and we'll put that in the show notes.
Right.
I'll turn it over to you as well, because I know there's some other stuff in the show notes people need to know about.
Excellent. All right, Satillionaires, thanks for joining us today. I hope you had your mind blown as much as we did.
Golly.
I know. If you did, click subscribe and enter your chance when we hit hit 10,000 subscribers, your chance at 2 million sats.
Yes.
We're going to pick one of you at random after we hit that number. Help us get there before Christmas. That would be great. A lovely Christmas gift.
All I want for Yuletide is to give you 2 million sats. How hard can that be?
Oh, Stuart is so selfless. So selfless. And so if you want to find out more ways to support, sponsor, and even grab your slot in the studio, whether it's in person or virtual, you can find all of that in our show notes. And Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. And our guests' views are their own.
Bam, disclaimer.
Disclaimer
homie.
sandwich.
Yeah,
Yes.
disclaimer sandwich.
Disclaimer sandwich.
Yes. All right. Until next time, keep stacking them sats.
Stack them sats, dude. Don't do the Federal Deposit Reserve, whatever, okay? Just get some sats.
Much easier, much simpler.
Yeah. DCA.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.